Hello, everyone, and here is today's crime roundup. So, we're going to be looking at a few cases today. Most importantly, the incredible brazen heist of the French crown jewels in Paris that happened last Sunday of last week. And we're also going to be touching up on P. Diddy and George Santos, the former congressman who had been in jail up until recently. And joining me is Helen, my wonderful co host. Hey, Helen, how are you?
I'm doing good, and hello to everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. We are, like Hector said, we're going to be touching base on these three very important and very kind of significant cases that we can speak about, right, Hector?
That's right. Uh, Crazy stuff has been going on. The news out of France is like something out of a movie like Ocean's 11, something along those lines. So, what happened was, and before we start, I just want to give a quick and humble admission that I cannot pronounce French, so I'm probably gonna butcher these names, and just bear with us. You can make fun of us, like drop a comment or whatever. But anyways, in Paris, in the world
Correct us
famous,
in the comment section.
that's right. So in the world famous Louvre Museum, where they have some of the world's most priceless artifacts and so many other stuff. They stole Napoleon's crown jewels and his empress's, his wife, I would assume's crown jewels, which are monetarily speaking worth millions and millions of dollars. Not to mention, the I guess you could say
The historic,
the
the
historic,
historic value,
the
and
emotional
just like
value.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when we were discussing this with Hector earlier, we were discussing it, and wherever you guys are hearing us from as well, we had a similar situation also in New York, and we had a one in California, and it's just like crazy. Like it's just like such. Not only like monetarily wise, but just like the history, and I think that's what's worth more, right, Hector?
Right, the culture, you have something
Yeah.
priceless. These things are in museums so that, generations, even after we're long gone, they can come and see these things and be like, oh wow, this was such a big part of, France's and by extension the world's history, and
Yeah.
now these things have been stolen and it's incredible. And really one of the big questions is, will these objects ever be recovered? There because that's a big if. That's a big question. Um,
And yeah, and something about about the case about the one that you were speaking about, the one in France, is that you said that there was well, we saw that there was, I guess, a glove that was recovered. So if they have the glove, I mean, they probably have DNA evidence in it, right?
Right,
But
but real quick, let me give people a quick rundown of what happened.
yeah, for
So
sure.
on the morning of October 19th of 2025, four masked thieves posing as construction workers, which is absolutely crazy, th-
Yeah.
committed a 7 to 8 minute robbery. So in less than 10 minutes, they were in and out of this place. World famous, perhaps the most famous museum in the world. It probably has, security systems that are at par with, banks. And they pulled it off. They made off with 88 million euros, which is 102 million dollars worth of artifacts, jewels, and they made a clean getaway. They had by the looks of it, they had scooters. Yeah, it sounds kind of
Yeah, they
silly.
live in scooters, which is so funny.
It's
Not
silly.
only did they live in schooners, but not only that, it happened right in the morning. And I think that's why I think that's also like something to look at, right? Because it's just like, okay, you just open, you know what I mean? Maybe people are more caught off guard and stuff.
For
And
sure.
it's just like maybe like in the middle of the day, it'll be like more people everywhere, but so like yeah, they left the scooters is so funny and it's so ironic, kind of. You know, like you see these movies and they're living in trucks that lead to airplanes. You know what I mean? They're living in these
Yeah. I
Lamborghinis,
mean,
and
for
it's
all
just
we
like
know.
yeah, and they're now they live in scooters. So that just gives you like a base, like it's just like maybe you have people on the inside, you know. You have to have people on the inside that
Yeah,
help you, right?
and just today, like I don't know the details, so don't quote me on this, but the French Parliament or whatever it's called got together and they were just pointing fingers. Okay, why did this happen? How did this happen? And long story short is, yeah, there might be somebody on the inside because you know it's too clean. Like I can't imagine even breaking into my own house and making a clean getaway that fast. Like
Yeah.
10 minutes, at 9:34 a.m. as you said, the place had just opened. Um, and they quickly shut down the museum. It was closed for 2 days after the robbery, which was unprecedented. Apparently hasn't happened too often.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
and as you said, as we were saying when we first began this video, it's not just the money, it's the cultural value, the historical value.
Yeah, because you know what? Money you can replace. That doesn't matter, you know?
Hmm.
Any you could have any billionaire come in and say, I'm gonna drop in a donation. You know what? I can replace this.
Oh, for
If
sure.
it's like a new diamond or something, like
It's like,
something but it's like if something that has like such cultural value, something such history, rich history and things that you can't replace, then that's
yeah.
priceless.
And
You know what I mean?
now that you bring that up, it does remind me. I don't know if you heard about this, Helen, but I believe about a year, maybe 2 years ago, you had the Notre Dame Cathedral in France as well burn. It burnt down, and such a timeless and invaluable part of history and culture. And thankfully, like they came, people. I don't know the details, but people got together and they really they've built it up, and kind of just how it used to look back in the day before, the tragedy happened. So, as you said,
Yeah.
I don't think money is an issue, but there is a genuine concern because, you have to study the modus operandi of how these thieves work. You're not gonna go on on eBay or Craigslist and say, "Hey, I've got Napoleon's crown. You want to come and buy it off me?" These
Yeah.
people are probably
Hmm.
they're probably gonna melt down the gold, the
No, they
valuable,
melted down. Yeah, for sure. No,
and
they
then
melted down. Even in smaller crimes, they try to get away with it. You know what I mean? Because like now you have such a huge like even when people do something, do robberies,
hmm
you have like if you listen to true crime and stuff, like you have such a huge database where like the detectives are not only checking your like they're all going to your so many thrift shops, not
oh
only in your
wow,
area,
yeah,
but they're going to like even out of state. So they're gonna find you like unless you like you know what I mean? Like unless there's like an underground like scheme, you know what I mean?
like an underground black market, yeah,
Yeah, unless it's just like, but they're gonna find it. Like I've seen so many videos about true crime where it's just like, oh, they stole this ring, and then they find it like freaking 10,000 miles away. You know what I mean? In like a little like thrift shop, and it's just like, oh no, these
that's
people did
insane.
their
Yeah,
due diligence as detectives to find it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's just like it's not that, you know. And like we were talking about so many cases, like a case I think it was New York as well, in the church as well, things that were just like so historically and they never caught the people.
yeah, it's
Like,
insane.
but the history is the sad part, you know what I mean? Because it's just
Hmm.
like, come on, like, you want to kind of preserve like such things that are just like so iconic. And not only that, but it's just like, dude, I'd rather you go off to freaking like Chanel and you steal those new bags that are not worth that are not worth
Yeah, I
what
know
they
what you
say, you know what I mean?
mean.
Then you just take such cherishable things that are just you're never gonna get back, you know,
You
like
know,
it's just like
it's
yeah.
it's sad because if they go ahead and they destroy these artifacts, you're gonna have generations that they'll have photos, sure, they might have paintings and whatnot, but they won't be able to see these things for themselves. And the whole metal sting is very, very lucrative. And it's not even just gold and silver. I mean, how many stories have you heard of people stealing catalytic converters or copper wires? People have
My
lost their
goodness,
internet
really,
connection.
right here in California, they have so many tales. It's so funny, like of them stealing, they had no one call me on this because I don't know, but like they have in Pasadena as well, but copper stuff that
Oh
it's on like
yeah.
on the street
And then everyone
and not
loses their internet,
and
right?
then you lose the internet, yeah, as well. But yeah, we've lost like there was a huge story like recently about how like
So yeah,
the whole
it's
internet, yeah,
ridiculous.
and then I think that they caught some people recently here in California for like
You
I don't even know it was like for 100K
you know
because we sorry.
no, no, I just wanted to say like yeah, um I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just there is a story that this whole deal reminds me of, and it's just like a kind of like a little bit of fun fact trivia that I know. So in soccer, the World Cup, the world tournament that they play every 4 years, the
Yeah.
original World Cup, the original trophy was stolen, and it's believed that they melted it down, so it doesn't exist anymore. No one knows, no one knows where it's at, if it even exists, but it most
Oh, the
likely.
first one, like the first one ever.
Yeah, the first one over.
And what year was that, if you know?
So, they kind of like now, like every time there's a new winner, like they just pass it off, right? It's not like they
Yeah.
make one every tournament, but they made a
Oh, huh.
rule where once a certain team had won it, I believe like three, maybe four times, they got to keep it for good. So Brazil got to keep it for good after they won the World Cup, and they had it for like 10 years, and this was in the 80s. Somebody broke in, they stole it, and well, it's been like probably close to 50 years now, and no one's ever seen it again, And it's sad, like, because going back to the French crown jewels, I fear that that's what might happen to these things, and, like, it's a shame. We might never see these things again.
Yeah, you know what's also the shame about all of this? If we're actually like just also not even just talking about all this whole I guess I don't even know like what we're living now, like right now, like we were talking about how like they're stealing copper, like we don't even get internet. Like we're
Hmm.
getting to a point where it's just like history is just gonna be dead completely because like not only that, like like you really like care for a couple of bucks over like something like history wise that's so rich, you know what I mean? What are we
Hmm.
gonna have for our kids? Imagine, like, what are we gonna have that is gonna be like, and then kids right now are there on their phone, they don't even care about all these things,
Oh
and it would
yeah.
be such, and it would just like, you can't get like, I go, I, I look at people like in restaurants and everyone's on their phone. No one has like quality time, right? You
Hmm.
have these kids that are like they're so young, they're on the phone, they're on the iPad, and it's so sad because like I remember growing up, like I remember going to museums, and
Oh
actually
yeah.
asking questions, actually being like, oh, okay, that's so cool. And now, like, imagine like all these artifacts, like all these things that people would actually like one in 100 kid would actually be like, "Oh, that's cool." You know what I mean? Like you're
Hmm.
gonna have that kid that's gonna be actually interested, and we're stealing that away from them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's so sad because it's just like, oh gosh, for that one kid, dude, you want that, you know?
Yeah, I remember being a kid, and I think that's part of the, like, I guess you could say, the magic of growing up, that your imagination, you would just imagine like maybe being a cowboy back in the day or a knight or something, just like imagining what it could have been back in the day. And then you go into a museum and it's like, wow, that's so cool. I can't believe someone like 300 years ago really used this. And nowadays, kids, it's all about, the algorithm. It's all about, seeing the next cool thing on TikTok or whatever. And I don't blame them because it's not their fault. They're a product of the society that we live in. But history and just culture itself is dying, People like even like movies, your average movie's like what, like maybe an hour, 2 hours long. Kids don't have that attention span. It's like I want to get quick and immediate, dopamine. Like, and if it takes more than a minute, then I don't want to like I don't care for it, So forget movies, even books, worse, like no one wants to read books. And it's just a shame that we've I feel like we've regressed as a society, where I'm not a thief, I'm not a criminal, but if like just kind of putting myself in the shoes of a criminal, I would try to have at least some sort of morals, like as you said yourself, I would rather go in and steal those Gucci Chanel bags than go and steal something that is so culturally important, right? Because I mean, you kind of have to you have to have a moral compass at one point or another. And I don't know, it really is a shame.
I mean, I don't think that you have to. I think that it's something that maybe we, you know what I mean, and
Hmm.
other people like think about it, but other people don't. They don't even care. They just want that quick buck. But also speaking of that, it's very interesting also because it's just like sometimes that's what's rich, because you have some cultures where it's just like you're gonna have like you're gonna have those cultures, and those are the only people that will actually like, okay, they're gonna give back to like our future generations. Those people are the ones that are living, where they're out of touch sometimes, you know what I mean? Where
Hmm.
they're not in their phones, where they're out. We have a lot of indigenous people, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then we also have a lot of people where they're out of touch and they do that to their children, raise them how they raise them, and it's just like they're so out of base out of society, and those are the only people that can kind of like, bring some richness, and hopefully that just goes on through generation and generation, right?
That's
It's
right.
and I'm saying that because like I've seen a lot of videos where it's just like some YouTube videos where it's just like a random place. I've seen a lot of them, like a random place out of nowhere, like whether it's like Switzerland, whether it's just like random, um, another place where I saw one recently. I forgot where it was at. I
I've
forgot where it was
seen
at,
I've seen some
but
great videos like that from like
yeah,
Japan
and
too.
then they raise their children and they're so like it doesn't seem like yeah they're just raising their cattle, they're just like raising their animals, and it's just like that's the only way that we could like go
The
on, but
simple
like
life.
now the simple life, but now it seems so like oh my gosh, these people are like kind of like it's sad because it's just like the majority is the modern world, right?
I feel
And
like
they're not
people.
interested.
It's all about like, especially. I'm gonna sound like an old guy. I'm 30, by the way. I'm not. I don't think I'm that old, but people nowadays, it's all material, it's all either it's money itself or it's clout, is it's being famous. People don't like appreciate like a rich heritage and it's not just like stuff in a museum, it's like appreciating music or artwork or even like stories that maybe your grandparents may have passed down to you, like who knows, maybe their own grandparents passed it on to them, and people, all that's dying, and it's so sad, it's such a shame.
Yeah.
And I think in many ways It sounds kind of like corny and very like you know like very uh typical of me to say this, but I feel like in many ways those things are more valuable than money itself, you know, because money, as you said, can be replaced. You know, the museum in France could get the money back, but there's a good chance they might never get the substance, you know, the actual substance. And it's terrible. You know, it says right here that the thieves, as you said when we were first starting this whole deal off, that they discovered DNA in a glove and in a helmet. Oh, and on top of that, like quickly getting a little bit off what I was saying, they dropped a crown. They dropped the freaking crown, dude. They dropped a crown while they were trying to make their getaway and they damaged it. So it's, you know, I don't know, maybe maybe there's a whole metaphor here for us as a society, you know.
Yeah. No, like you said, it's truly sad because it's just like obviously like money can replace we can have freaking Elon Musk replace that money, which he won't do, right? He will never do. He's not gonna do that.
Maybe, maybe.
But but the historic value is what like some people but some generations won't take, you know what I mean? Like some people they won't care. They'll be like, okay, whatever, it's just a tiara, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I've seen many of those, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just like the people that actually appreciate just like the rich value and history, and there is still people that appreciate it, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it's sadly just gone down in our society just because like we focus on so many things that are just like superficial that it's just like now it's kind of sad, you know?
It
It's really
is.
sad to see because like I remember growing up, like I remember like just like being more like fascinated by all these things. And now it's just like so different. It's like so technological and it's just like, oh, we don't even have time for like
Yeah, I mean,
even
like,
to be in the
you know,
present.
being a kid and just maybe like one day you go to the zoo and it's like, oh, that's so cool, you know, a lion, you know, I'm actually looking at a lion in person and it's so special. Or you go to the museum and you see, I don't know, like something that people used thousands of years ago and it's like, that's mind blowing. If you really think about it, it's mind blowing. And now it's all so superficial, you know. Now it's all replaceable. Like, you know, oh look, there's a video of a lion online. There's
Mm-hmm.
you know, I saw some random YouTube video of like history a
Yeah,
thousand years ago. Hmm.
it's so funny because like recently I was ironically like I was on my phone because I'm actually like really good because like I'm not really on my phone like looking like scrolling through stuff, you know. But it was so funny because ironically I was on my phone and it was so funny because like I went on Instagram. I was gonna reply to my friend, but I went through the I don't even I'm old, so I don't even know these things. I'm 34, okay, guys? But that's old. And I was like
Grandma.
scrolling. I was scrolling through I scrolled through I don't know what that's called, but like through like the little things, like the little
The
videos.
the shorts, the reels or whatever they call them.
So I don't know what they're called in
Something
Instagram
along
though,
those
because like
lines.
they're different
If
on
you're
it. I
young,
think
help
on
us out. If you're young and you're
yeah, you're
watching this,
young,
help
let
us
us know. We don't know this shit.
out.
But I scrolled down through one of them and it's so funny because it was just like, okay, like the whole what is it, Gen Z? What is it now?
Yeah, it's
Is
I
it
think
Gen
Gen
Z
Z, yeah.
or Gen? I
Okay,
don't even
so
know.
Gen
Gen Z.
Z,
I think it's Gen Z. Yeah, and it was so funny. They were just like, "How do you know someone is old?" And like it was so funny because like the kids were like the kids were and they weren't even that like I didn't I was just like dude like I don't even look that older than you but they were just like oh I know when they're Gen Z no when they're not in like the Gen Z population they were like I know when they're not Gen Z when they're like wearing like plaid like shirts.
oh yeah, yeah, like
You know,
flannels.
like just, The flannels, there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
They're like, I know when, and when they're wearing like dressy clothes, they were like, that's so uncool. And I was just like, oh my God, what if you're just a professional? You know what I mean? I was just like,
yeah,
oh gosh. And they would just kept saying so many things that I was just like, oh gosh, that's so funny. It was so funny to me. And
yeah.
then like the whole 6-7 thing,
Oh my God, yeah,
that's just
that's so
ridiculous.
stupid. Okay, like I know we're really getting off topic, but the whole 6-7 thing, I'm on the fence. I'm so like divided by it because on one hand, like young me is like, yeah, I remember having stupid inside jokes that would piss, older people off, and I can understand that side of it. On the other hand, as I'm like, That's so fucking dumb. Like, really? How is that funny?" Like, okay, it might have been funny for like 30 minutes, if that, but like, people are saying it, they're screaming it, and there's no punchline, there isn't even an inside joke. It's just
They're not even.
so dumb.
Yeah, I'm sorry to your generation, you guys that were saying these things, but like we're millennials, so it's just like such a different culture, and oh, and it was so funny because like after that I watched that, like something popped up, Hector, and you know what they put? They
Hmm.
were like, they put like, do you know what this is? And you know what it was? It was like a DVD player. And they're like,
What's on
I
a
don't know what
VHS?
that is. Is that from like aliens or something? It was so funny.
Oh man,
It's
I've heard
just like,
crazy
oh
shit.
gosh. But it's just funny, like the different generations, and it's just like very different. Like now you can see it. But that's why it cuts back to just like the whole culture thing, because it's just like before you had like such appreciation, and but it's just because like the more that technology grows, like the more that we don't do stuff, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna have all these things done for us, and we're
It's
just gonna
sad.
be
It's so
stupid in a
sad.
way. It's
It's
like
so sad
stupid because
because
we're all gonna be stupid.
you
Because
know,
like I remember writing my own fucking essay, Hector. I remember writing like
yeah, old
1 hour before. It might have been 1 hour before, you know what I mean? But
handwritten or
I
typed.
remember I remember writing that shit, you know what I mean?
Handwritten or typed. You see, because it goes by
Both.
generations, dude. Like
I've done
like
both.
yeah. So have I. We're
No, I've done
millennials.
both because I remember when I was smaller, I would have to handwrite it because we didn't.
Exactly.
Then
Like
obviously when I had to, but like, and then now it's just like I see all these videos. Like I saw one today, and I saw a video today, and it was just like of how this professor, he goes off, he goes screams like, but it's at a college. He screams and he's like, I know all of you guys use chat. What is it? What is it? PT? I don't
ChatGPT.
even
ChatGPT. Yeah.
chat GPT. I always say P. I don't know why I say P. You know why I think P? Just
We're
because
turning
of
into
like,
our parents.
no, I think about PTSD. I
What's
think
this
about
internet?
PTSD. That's why I always say chat PT. It's just like,
What
but it
are
was like,
these
and
YouTubes?
And then
Anyways.
and then it's just like you see, and then I after that I saw some video, and this woman was just like, this is how we like all know that you guys all fake it, you guys don't have, and now Hector, supposedly there's this thing where I guess that you can see when you write your essay in real time.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, dude. When it comes to these sort of things, it's an arms race, you know. One side gets better, so the other side gets better, and then the other side gets better again, and it just keeps going back and forth, dude. But the end the end scenario is still the same, that the kids aren't learning shit and that the fucking teachers slash professors are just wasting their time. They're basically teaching. They may as well be trying to teach, like the walls, because the kids aren't doing their work. They're just telling ChatGPT or whatever. And as soon as the teacher finds a new way to, like, you know basically put them on blast and say, "Hey, I found out you aren't actually doing your work." Then the kids figure out a new way to like trick the teacher and the system. So as I said, it just keeps going back and forth. It's I don't know, dude. I would love to go into the future. I would love and at the same time be terrified to go in the future and see where, where
Like
stuff
what's
is
gonna
gonna
happen
be.
because it's
Yeah.
crazy. I don't even
Hmm.
I would not know how to handle it. Like I would not know how I have never used that, so like I don't even know, but like I've seen how like they use it and stuff. But also it's just like it's such like also like I would feel like as a teacher, it's you will feel so like hopeless, you know what I mean? Like these kids that want to learn and not only that, I have to go my extra mile to try to like figure it out, you know.
It's
But
sad. I've seen
like I
teachers
said, the
online.
video that I saw, it like the video that I saw, it was just like, oh, like this is how your teacher can find it. There's obvious websites where you could find how if
Mm-hmm.
it's like AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this one, it showed it in real time as the person was typing it. And I'm like, how the fuck do they do that, dude? Like, and then how they edit it. And then I'm just like, dude, how the hell do these people get into that? That's crazy.
Our
And then the
grandparents.
person said, and then this is the end of the joke. The end of the joke, which is not a joke, is that it said, this is how you get around it.
Yeah, basically.
So it's just like you're never gonna get around like that. That's why like I feel like you're gonna get to a time where I would give them a piece of paper and a freaking
That's
pen
how
and
it
shit.
should be. That's how it should be.
That's how it should
That's
be
probably where I
exactly.
would be at if I were a teacher. I
A
mean,
piece of paper, a piece
we're
of
all
pen,
here
and we have to
marveling,
go old school
and then our
because if you don't
grandparents
stop it, then where are we
are
getting to?
our grandparents are probably like, how is it that using this magical telephone, you can speak to somebody in another building, like what is this witchcraft? And that is kind of how we feel with a lot of these technologies that are getting developed.
Yeah,
It's so
no, that's
crazy.
crazy. And what's gonna happen? Yeah, these all these people are like they're just gonna yeah, we're gonna give them a paper quill, Hector, and we're gonna give them a freaking feather and some ink, and they're
I
gonna
think a
they're
pen. I think pens are okay. I don't think pens are too high tech.
but yeah. Anyways, guys, so everyone just comment, right, Hector,
Hmm.
on what you guys think about this whole ordeal because we've been talking about a lot about just like also obviously like how kind of like AI has such an influence right now, right?
Right.
How we're getting to a community that like now just has this like we're at least we're kind of like a society just like losing touch and things that like used to have a lot of enrichedness,
The
right?
things that
Like a lot
actually
of
matter. The small
exactly, and
things.
like a lot of history, because we went into AI just because we were talking about history and just things that like used to have some value, where now people were just like, okay, like you would as a kid before, like I remember, like, oh, you go into a museum, oh, cool, what is this artifact? Now it's just
Hmm.
like they're probably gonna be on their phones and like,
Yeah,
well,
they're
what
gonna
is
be on
that? I
their
don't
phones.
care.
Like, I really don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
To wrap it up, yeah, tell us, like, please leave a comment or let us know. Do you think that the French jewels will ever be recovered? Do you think that the people themselves, the thieves, will be caught? Do you think that they were, you know, I mean, it looks like they were, but do you think they were professionals or maybe they just got lucky? And also, I know it's something that we brought up in the beginning and we really didn't get to cover it, so I'll give you guys the quick rundown. George Santos, repeat liar and fraudster. That was
Oh yeah, that's
uh,
another yeah, something
Senator
that we
John
wanted to
Lewis.
cover as
He
well.
was he was a representative. He went to jail for basically being a giant scumbag, but he was recently pardoned by President Trump, and so we were just wondering, what are your thoughts on that? And kind of staying on a similar subject, recently P. Diddy was sentenced. I don't have it off the top of my head. I don't have the notes here, but I think it might be like 5, 6 years that he was sentenced. Subtract time served from that. So he might be out of jail soon. And there's also rumors
Yeah,
that
no, I think it's gonna be yeah, I don't recall, but I think it It's a lot less. They think that he's probably just gonna serve like maybe like 2 years.
Yeah, and
And
there's
that's if he
also
doesn't get pardoned. And that's
yeah,
if he doesn't
that's
get
what I was
pardoned.
saying.
But
There's rumors
George
going around.
Santos, yeah, he did get pardoned. He's out. And we want to
Well,
know your.
actually, I want to correct you on that. He wasn't, and I may be wrong. Like, if there's a lawyer watching us, please let us know. Like, but I think he was commuted, which is basically like you're getting released, but you're still technically on the hook for what you did. But a pardon would be like, oh, okay, you're completely forgiven. So that's the small little difference. I don't know if I'm wrong or right on that, but
Oh, with who? With George Santos?
with Santos, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he was
No,
released,
I
I
said,
did hear him. I did hear real quick. I did hear that they asked him, are you still gonna pay back the people that you defrauded?" And he said, "Oh, only if the courts make me." Which I mean, it just goes to show the type of guy he is. But all right, you let us know what you guys think, and we appreciate your input, and thank you so much for joining us today. Um,
and we will touch base with your comments and we will touch base with all these cases next week just to give you guys a further income and if something else comes, right, Hector? Like if we are able to know more
mhm.
about um know more about like what I guess like if what Trump has in mind because we have heard about him considering pardoning P. Diddy, right, Hector?
I mean, there were the White
Rumors,
House.
so we
The
will touch
The White
base on that.
House, the White House did say that they weren't looking into that, but I mean, things have been like flipping and flopping over so often that you can't really take those things at face value. So, for all we know, they might pardon him, maybe they won't. Just let us know if you think that if you would be on board with that, if you agree with Santos having his sentence reduced to basically nothing, or if you think that, they should be in jail and possibly longer. You know, we appreciate you guys joining us. Is
Yeah,
there
for
anything?
sure. So, no, yeah, that's it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So, everyone join us next week. We look forward to hearing your replies, and we'll catch you guys next week, and we can discuss it as well.
all right, sounds great. You guys have a great night.